G-Unit. Nah, I'm just playing. Yo, Lloyd Banks' career resurgence is absurd to me. In his prime, he was part of the mainstream group of his era. And now in his 40s, he's embraced this neo boom bap style that's the staple of underground rap right now. And he's doing it as good as anybody. And Banks was always the most lyrically talented in G-Unit. But the lyricism he showed in the first course of The Inevitable last year was a cut above anything that he released previously. And I know his fans gonna be like, nah, Lloyd Banks always been like that. But they're liars. They're lying. Don't listen to them. Still love y'all though. So the Course of the Inevitable 2 accomplishes that rare feat of being better than the original. It definitely builds on the formula from the original, elite rapping, mostly boom bap production, and some quality features. And while the production here ain't earth-shattering, I'll say the beats are solid at worst, very good at best, and still minimal enough to let the rapping take front and center, which allowed this to shape into one of the best albums of this year. The opener, Impact, has this simple synth loop over some crisp drums. It also has these sporadic piano notes that give the beat a little bit of texture. Rap-wise, Banks' lyrical abilities on display instantly. He opens with a 6-syllable rhyme scheme that's just insane. The rest of the song is Banks spitting these slick brags as he effortlessly weaves through these different rhyme patterns. The song also has a well-written chorus, which is actually a staple of the album, as pretty much every single chorus here is well written. The next song, No Rewards, a highlight off the album. The beat is subtle and understated, but it's actually one of my favorite on the entire album. I love the keys on this thing as well as the bass that creeps in mid-verse. The rapping on this track is close to flawless. It's just so much precision with every word. Those opening lines, "Goon out the feet" or "Head cool, Claudius the root of evil," come off as like thug poetry with how carefully crafted it is. And the rest of the song pretty much follows suit. The song Menace features Conway the Machine, and I like how they use this reverse sound source for the harmony. It gives the beat this spookier feel to it. Both Conway and Banks put up their numbers on this song. I've been back and forth on who had a better verse of the two. Lyrically, they were both razor sharp. I thought Banks came off a little more cerebral. I think Conway came off a little bit more charismatic. For Banks, I particularly like that "True balls, blue pours don't get too lost," new cause flow that he had midway through his verse. Conway had that line, "When I'm on Dykeman, chicks call me Big Poppy and not the one who played for the Red Sox," which is low-key stupid, but also really funny. It's definitely proved that Westside Gun be rubbing off on him. And then Benny the Butcher's on the next song, "Living Proof," as they rap over a slightly brighter beat. Banks uses this somewhat melodic flow in his first verse that goes over well. Benny's verse was just fire. I thought these lines in particular were really tough. "You probably making bread but don't know how to stack it, do you? I made 50 bands and still go home to a pack of noodles." Then he had that "I got a network, you probably had to Google" line next. Banks might have got him with the best verse of the song with that third verse. He dang near goes Super Saiyan like midway through when he gets in this one pocket where every bar is saturated in these crazy end rhymes. Value of a Check's another highlight of the album. I think that bouncy, upbeat production is a good change of pace for the album. They also take one of those iconic grunting samples that were used in This or That by Black Sheep, and they sprinkle it on the beat like parsley. Banks' flow on this song is just on another level, and it's not like the content slacks up either. I mean, the whole song is like a 2-minute quotable. Like straight out the gate, he rapped the "Sometimes subtraction is the best addition. When division's multiplying, so does all the skepticism." Not gonna hold you though, the beat on Power Steering with Jadakiss sounds like a beat they probably should have been using in the prime of their careers. Felt like I needed a XXL white t-shirt just to listen to it. It's like when the old niggas get on the basketball court and they start trying to bat niggas down from the 3-point line, throwing up sky hooks. It felt dated. Hey, just the beat though. The rapping was on point, especially from Banks, man. He had that vivid street talk on the first verse and then that high-end luxury talk on the second. It's like the dude just refuses to get out rap. But Jada brought it as well. While I'm in my glasses half empty bag, I wasn't really rocking with the beat on Fell in Love either. It has some more moody, sensual production that to me sounded like a generic radio hit from like 10 years ago, which is also kind of redundant because I said radio. But once again though, the rapping is tough. This might have been Banks' most energetic and animated delivery on the entire album. Then the song Socialize. Production-wise, it's like when the bench players give up a big lead and the coach got to put the starters back in. The beat on this one is tough. Yeah, those spacey keys that modulate back and forth between octaves are dope. The verses from Banks are punchline heavy with more wizardry when it comes to the rhyme schemes. I will say the features on the first half of the album did outshine the features on the second half of the album. I mean, you also could have just looked at the track list and predicted that. Had to bring out my G-Unit spinner chain for the Murder One track with Tony Yayo. I'll say at least lyrically speaking, there was a gap in talent between Yayo and Banks back in the G-Unit days, and it's still present here. It was a decent verse by Yayo, though it certainly wasn't bad. Then the song Traffic is like the group project where one person do all the work, but everybody get an A. I'm exaggerating a little bit. Banks, Davies, and Vado all had solid verses, but it's clearly one rapper better than the other two, and his name is Lloyd Banks. He dropped some gems like Niggas Outside Your House, like Peeping Toms for the Bricks, and Too Hard to Chill, Streets Colder Than Ever is Snitching Weather, which is hilarious and also really clever wordplay. I personally think Vado had the second best verse on the track. He boasted some really good rhyme schemes, but I don't think either him or East had the same level of content as Lloyd Banks did. The album takes a break from the boom bap aesthetic for a more jazzier and moody aesthetic on the song Dead Flowers. The live drums on this song pair great with the lush piano chords here. I think it makes for a really good backdrop for a really introspective song about fame, acclaim, hypocrisy, fake friends. The niggas gotta see your bloodstream to make your streams go up was my favorite line out of the whole song. The album ends with On My Way, which is a really strong neo boom bap song to close the album out. And overall, it's a really dope album. If I had to nitpick flaws with the albums, I will say Banks does have a somewhat monotone delivery. Monotone might be a little bit harsh, but there's definitely not a lot of theatrics when it comes to his rapping. You also can say the same thing about the production on this album. So I say that to say, if you aren't as bar focused as I am, I can see how you would enjoy this album a little bit less than I did. I do think the concise 45-minute runtime helps with that. Also, some of the more up-tempo songs in the middle of the album kind of help with that as well and add to the pacing of the album. But ultimately, this album puts the rap in front and center, and the rapping here is stellar. I think this album is a really strong 8.25 out of 10 and one of the better albums of the year.